exams, tests, performance tasks. Those are the things we often use to measure learning. When we teach, we ask our students, what would you do if we have group activities? Then the students would answer, Ma'am, we should cooperate. But was there really a cooperation? Have you ever had a student who knew all the answers but struggled to work in a team? Or one who is brilliant but lacked empathy? If so, you've witnessed the importance of assessing more than just academic knowledge. In education, we often focus on grades, intellectual ability, which is a part of the cognitive domain. But Bloom's taxonomy tells us that there are three domains of learning. Cognitive domain, which is the mental skills, psychomotor domain, which is the physical skills, and affective domain, which is the social and emotional growth of the child. This tells us that education or learning isn't about what we know or what we can do, but also about who we are. This tells us about KSA, or the knowledge, the skills, and the attitude of the learner. For a truly balanced education, we must nurture not only the mind, the hands, but also the heart. We often hear the phrase, he is schooled but not educated. This highlights the reality that education prioritizes more the cognitive development of the child while overlooking the emotional and social growth. Today, however, we recognize the whole child approach, the social emotional learning, emotional intelligence, growth mindset, and positive discipline. This points to one thing, the importance of affective domain in education. But learning is not just a cognitive process. It is also an emotional process. Social emotional learning, or SEL, is the process of developing skills to understand and manage our emotions, build relationships, and make responsible decisions. The 5 key competencies of SEL are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. If we believe that education is about preparing students for life, then these skills aren't optional. They are essential. Self-awareness is knowing and understanding your own emotions and how they affect your actions. Without it, we react instead of reflect. Think of a student who gets nervous before a presentation. Instead of freezing, they recognize their fear and remind themselves, I can do this. I'm prepared. That's self-awareness. Self-management, on the other hand, is handling emotions and behaviors in a positive way. It's about staying calm under pressure and setting goals. A student who fails a test might feel frustrated, but instead of giving up, he or she decides to study harder to try again. Social awareness is understanding and caring about other people's feelings and experiences. It's about sympathy and respect. Imagine a new student struggling with a language barrier. A socially aware classmate notices this and offers to help, a small act, but a powerful one. Relationship skills help us communicate, cooperate, and solve conflicts. Intelligence alone doesn't guarantee success. How we interact with others matters just as much. Two students working on a project may disagree, but if they listen, compromise, and find a solution, they're not just learning teamwork, they're learning life skills. Lastly, responsible decision making is about making good choices. It's thinking before acting and considering consequences. A student might be tempted to cheat on a test, but they pause and ask themselves, is this the right thing to do? They choose honesty over a shortcut. That's responsible decision making. Aren't these the very skills we need in adulthood, in our workplaces, in our relationships? In fact, these aren't just learning skills. They are soft skills, the very qualities that employers look for that shape leadership and that define our personal and professional success. Think about it. A company can hire the smartest person in the room, but if that person can communicate, can collaborate, or handle challenges, will they truly succeed?
Imagine walking into a room filled with some of the most intelligent people in the world. Geniuses in their fields, experts in their crafts. Now imagine that half of them struggle to communicate, work with others, or manage their emotions. Would their intelligence be enough to guarantee success? The truth is, intelligence alone is not a defining factor of success. It's what we do with that intelligence. How we work with others, how we manage challenges, and how we continue to grow that truly matters. Today, I want to talk to you about the unsung heroes of success, the soft skills. For far too long, we have measured success by grades, degrees, and technical knowledge. We celebrate success, but we often overlook the very skills that allow intelligence to shine. Skills like teamwork, self-regulation, adaptability, and perseverance. Soft skills are not just nice to have, they are essential. A brilliant student who lacks discipline may never reach their potential. A gifted worker who cannot communicate effectively may never lead. And lastly, a talented athlete who cannot control their temper may never win a championship. These are the skills that separate potential from achievement. Let's break it down. Research shows that success is not just about IQ. It's about EQ or emotional intelligence. Soft skills like self-management, social awareness, and ability to approach learning with confidence have a direct impact on performance. Example, students who believe in their abilities and step up on challenges are more likely to push through difficult subjects and succeed in their studies. Employees who can manage conflict and work well in teams are more likely to excel in their careers. Leaders who listen and adopt inspire the people around them. The great news, these skills can be learned just like math, science, and coding. Now, imagine a world where schools prioritize soft skills just as much as academic skills. A world where students were not just taught facts, but were also taught how to manage stress, collaborate, and think critically. A world where the workplace valued emotional intelligence as much as technical expertise. This is not just a dream. This is a necessity. The future of education, business, and leadership depends on it. We need to start fostering these skills in our classrooms, workplaces, and communities. We need to teach our children not just how to work hard, but how to work smart. Not just how to learn facts, but how to ask questions. Not just how to compete, but how to collaborate. Because when we do, we don't just create better students. We create better thinkers, better leaders, and better humans. So, let's redefine success. Let's stop asking, how smart are you? And start asking, how do you work with others? How do you handle challenges? How How do you keep learning and growing? Because in the end, it's not just about what we know.
Imagine a world where education isn't just about what we know, but about what we feel, what we value, and how we grow as human beings. Today, I want to talk to you about something that lies at the very heart of meaningful learning, the affective domain of education. This domain, as outlined by Krathwohl and his colleagues in 1964, goes beyond cognitive knowledge and touches our emotions, values, and attitudes. It determines how we receive information, how we respond to it, and how it ultimately shapes who we become. So let us explore this fascinating taxonomy step by step and understand how this education can shape not only our minds but also our hearts. First step is receiving, the foundation of affective domain and the lowest level of learning outcomes. This is where the students become aware of something new. Their willingness to be aware of the setting and situation gives attention by choice and open to experience. For example, a student reads a passage about sleeping rights, becoming aware of the topic. Another example, when students listen to the teacher, shows how awareness of importance of learning. The verbs used in receiving, which defines the learning outcomes in the affective domains, are accept, attend, develop, and recognize. Next, we have responding. This is when the students move from simply receiving information to actively engaging with it. They participate in discussions, ask questions, and show interest. Now picture a student who hears about climate change and then joins a conversation about sustainability. That's responding in action. Engaging fosters understanding. Another example is when students ask questions about civil rights passage, read books by the same author, or engage in discussions. The verbs used in responding, which defines the learning outcomes, are complete, comply, cooperate, discuss, examine, obey, and respond. The third step is value. This is where learners attach worth or importance to anything. It's no longer just information. It's something they care about. Maybe they develop a passion of social justice, environmentalism, or lifelong learning. Their actions start aligning with their beliefs. Education isn't just about knowing. It's about living in something. For example, the students voluntarily attend a lecture on civil rights, demonstrating commitment to the topic. The verbs used in valuing that defines learning outcomes are accept, defend, devote, pursue, and see. At the organization stage, students begin integrating these values into their belief system. They start comparing and prioritizing their values, creating their own internal frameworks. A young person who once valued success in a purely academic sense may come to see balance and well-being as equally important. Their values begin to take shape in a structured, intentional way. For example, the students organizes or participates in a civil rights rally, showing active integration of the value. The verbs used in organizing are codify, discriminate, display, order, organize, systematize, and weigh. Finally, we reach characterization, the highest level of the affective domain. At this stage, values are not just ideas, but core aspects of person's identity. Their beliefs consistently guide their decisions and behavior. Think of something like Malala Yousafzai, who didn't just value education, but made it her life's mission. Characterization is when values become who we are. For example, the students fully commits to civil rights advocacy, perhaps becoming a leader in the movement. So the verbs used in characterizing are internalize and verify. When creating lesson plans, educators can use the Krathwohl's taxonomy to clearly define effective learning objectives, specifying which level of emotional engagement they want students to reach. Krathwohl's taxonomy in the affective domain helps align lesson plans by providing a structured framework to intentionally develop students' attitudes, values, and emotions towards the learning material, progressing from basic awareness, which is the receiving, to actively internalizing values and consistently demonstrating them through their behavior, which is what we call the characterization by value, allowing teachers to design activities that cultivate positive learning dispositions at different levels of complexity. According to Krathwohl's affective domain, the dose includes focusing on progressively developing students' attitudes, values, and emotions from basic awareness or the receiving to actively integrating them into their lives, or what we call the characterization. While the don'ts includes assuming students automatically adopt values without intentional instruction, neglecting to assess effective learning, or only focusing on the lower levels of the taxonomy or the receiving and responding without progressing to higher levels like valuing and organization. So what does this all mean for education? It means that real learning isn't just about facts and figures. It's about shaping attitudes, fostering values, and helping individuals grow into people who can change the world. As educators, parents, and lifelong learners, we must ask ourselves, are we simply transferring knowledge or are we nurturing values? Are we creating spaces where students can engage, care, and build character? The affective domain reminds us that education is not just about what we think, but about who we become. And that, my friend, is the true power of learning.
So how do we assess learning in the affective domain? Fortunately, research provides us with three key methods: teacher observation, student self-report, and peer ratings. One of the most effective ways to assess effective learning is through observation. As educators, we witness our students' behaviors daily, how they interact, how they respond to challenges, and how they engage with their peers. Observation can be structured or unstructured. Unstructured observation is open-ended. A teacher simply watches and takes mental or written notes without any predefined criteria. Structured observation, on the other hand, uses specific tools like a checklist or a rating scale to guide what behaviors to monitor. For example, let's say we want to assess punctuality. How do we measure it? We observe, of course. Does the student arrive on time? Do they submit assignments promptly? Are they consistently late or early for group meetings? To make observation effective and objective, educators should first identify behaviors to observe in advance, keep detailed records including date, time, and context. Third, Third is separate description from interpretation. Record what is seen, not what is assumed. Fourth is include both positive and negative behaviors. And lastly, observe multiple instances before drawing conclusions.
But here's the key. Teachers aren't the only ones who can observe. Students too can assess their peers provided they understand the purpose and criteria for evaluation. The second method is student self-report, allowing students to reflect on their own attitudes, feelings, and values. This method acknowledges that sometimes the best way to understand a student's growth is to ask them directly. Self-reports come in different forms. First, written reflections. A student might write about why I respect my classmate or how I feel about public speaking. Second, interviews. Teachers can have one-on-one conversations to explore deeper insights. Surveys and questionnaires. Third, these can include both constructed response or the open-ended essays and selected response or the checklist, Likert scales, semantic differentials. For instance, a student who once hated math but later finds joy in solving problems, a reflection piece titled Why I No Longer Fear Math could reveal more about their emotional and attitudinal transformation than any test score ever could. The beauty of self-reports is that they encourage introspection. Students become aware of their own emotional and cognitive growth. However, we must be mindful of honesty and accuracy. Some students may not fully express their feelings, while others might respond in a way that they think the teacher wants to hear. Lastly, peer ratings. Learning from one another. The third method is peer assessment, where students evaluate each other's affective growth. For example, if we want to assess teamwork, a peer rating might include questions like, does this student listen actively in group discussions? Does this student encourage others to participate? Does this student take responsibility in group projects? Peer assessments work best when students are given clear criteria and understand that the goal is constructive feedback, not judgment.
What are the differences between the three? And how important are they in the assessment of the affective domain?
For teacher observation, it is the teacher observing the students and cueing whether the students have positive attitudes towards learning. Because it can be observable, when the students are, even the body language, when the students are just like sitting and not properly seated, they are not cooperating, they are not raising their hands, it will give you feedback that these students may not be, or these students are not interested in learning inside the classroom, or maybe not in learning at all, but maybe some topics are not that interesting enough for the students to be hooked inside the class or during that. So that is teacher observation. While student report is when students have knowledge about their own understanding, about their own willingness to learn. So actually they can assess whether they are interested inside the classroom for a lot of reasons. And the last one is peer rating. So peer rating is when students, especially in a group activity, students will have to assess their teammates, including themselves, of course. So they are given scale 5 to 1 or whatsoever. So they are going to assess the performance of their co-members. So, well, these three are very important in assessing affective domain, because in affective domain, we are assessing the willingness of the students to learn inside the classroom, their positive attitude towards learning. And all of this will give you a summary of the student's performance that is related to affective domain.
We've all encountered the Likert scale. That familiar 5-point spectrum from strongly disagree to strongly agree. It's a simple tool, yet incredibly powerful. It allows us to tap into students' feelings about a subject, their attitudes towards a particular teaching method, even their self-efficacy. We can use a Likert scale to gauge students' enthusiasm after a particular engaging lesson. The results aren't just numbers. They are a window into their hearts and minds. They tell us what resonates, what inspires, and where we can make improvements.
This resource helps to quickly and effectively evaluate various aspects of educational strategies, from student and teacher performance to the overall effectiveness of learning materials and teaching methods. The Likert scale is a numerical scale used in questionnaires to obtain more nuanced responses than simple yes or no answers. It's named after psychologist Rensis Likert and is crucial for those involved in educational planning and evaluation. Whether you're assessing pedagogical content, teaching strategies, or even brand image, the Likert scale is an invaluable tool, especially in instructional design. Let's see how it works. The scale typically ranges from total agreement to total disagreement, allowing respondents to choose from a series of statements that best reflect their views. This setup enables educators to gauge satisfaction, understanding, and other critical factors in a straightforward manner. When it comes to using Likert scales in education, you can achieve more or less nuanced responses by using 5-item or 7-item scales. The 5-item scale includes 2 extreme, 2 intermediate, and 1 neutral option, making it versatile for various educational assessments. On the other hand, the 7-item scale offers a more detailed range of responses, providing 2 extreme, 2 moderate, 2 intermediate, and 1 neutral option, allowing for even finer distinctions in feedback. For instance, if using a 5-point scale to measure agreement, the options might range from I strongly agree to I strongly disagree, with the neutral option in the middle. This format helps to quickly identify trends and areas for improvement. If you want to start using this tool right away, here are some practical applications. You might use a Likert scale to evaluate future actions, like a student's intention to take another course, brand evaluation, assessing if a program met the expectations, faculty effectiveness, like whether instructors are knowledgeable, and communication channels adequacy for student needs. For a comprehensive evaluation, you might divide a survey into thematic blocks, such as materials relevance, teacher attitudes, or the objectivity of evaluations, each with tailored Likert scale questions.
Then, there's the power of self-reflection. Journals, written reflections, and even simple sentence completion. Exercises can unlock a wealth of information.
A sentence completion assessment in the affective domain is a method where individuals finish incomplete sentences to reveal their attitudes, values, beliefs, and emotions toward a particular topic, essentially providing insight into their feelings and perspectives by completing open-ended sentence stems, thus helping to assess their affective learning level. There are 4 key points about sentence completion in the affective domain. The first one is the open-ended format. Unlike multiple choice questions, sentence completion allows for more nuanced and personal responses, capturing subtle feelings and opinions. The next one is revealing underlying attitudes. By completing the sentence, individuals are prompted to express their inner thoughts and feelings, potentially revealing attitudes that might not be readily apparent through other assessment methods. The next one is flexibility in topic focus. Sentence stems can be tailored to specific areas of interest, allowing for assessment of attitudes towards a particular subject, activity, or person. And the last one is interpretation challenges. Analyzing sentence completion responses can be subjective and requires careful consideration of the individual's wording and context. Here are some sentence stems that can serve as scaffolding to help students for sentence completion. In my opinion, I assume, from my point of view, if you ask me, as far as I can tell, to my mind, the way I see things is that it seems to me that I believe, I would say, I consider, it's my belief that, I honestly believe that, to my thinking, and I feel.
Asking students to complete a sentence like learning is or assessment is can reveal their deeper beliefs and attitudes. These seemingly simple prompts can unearth surprising insights into their emotional landscape, revealing anxieties, misconceptions, and hidden passions.
Let's talk about another method, the semantic differential. This tool measures a student's perception of a subject by using opposite adjectives on a scale. Imagine asking students to evaluate their experience in a math class. From scale 1 to 5, the students will rate the class how exciting or boring it is, how fulfilling or frustrating it is, and how demanding or how easy it is. The simple yet effective technique gives a more nuanced understanding of students' and attitudes. A student marking 2 under boring for math class signals disengagement, while marking 5 under exciting shows enthusiasm. It helps educators see patterns and adjust their methods to improve learning experience.
Osgood further discovered that three semantic differential scales were commonly and universally useful. These are evaluation, potency, and activeness. Evaluation scales determine whether someone has a positive or negative opinion about a certain topic. Commonly used adjectives are bad, good, cruel, kind, ugly, beautiful, sad, happy, negative, positive, unpleasant, pleasant, worthless, valuable. Potency scale, on the other hand, determines how strong or weak a person's attitude towards something is or how powerful the topic is for them. Commonly used adjectives are weak, strong, small, large, soft, hard, light, heavy, shallow, deep, submissive, assertive, simple, complex. Activeness scale measures whether the topic is regarded as active or passive. Commonly used adjectives are passive, active, relaxed, tensed, slow, fast, cold, hot, quiet, noisy, dim, bright, rounded, angular. There are 3 steps in creating a semantic differential scale. Step 1. Decide for the topic that you want to do a survey on, and decide on how many points of the scale would you have. Example, 7-point scale. Step 2. Create 2 contrasting adjectives at the end points of the scale. Stick to one of the 3 dimensions: evaluation, potency, or activeness, or also known as activity. Keep the adjectives as short as possible and find the appropriate antonyms to your topic. Add as many rows as you want. Below is the list of activities or characteristics of your school. For each pair of adjectives, place an X at the point that you believe best describes it. So this is an example of a semantic differential scale. So we have the bipolar adjectives: good, bad, cruel, kind, ugly, beautiful, happy, sad, pleasant, unpleasant. Semantic differential scale, when implementing it, researchers have to consider or watch for halo effect, which is the bias in respondents' answers. The halo effect happens when a respondent's overall impression overwhelms his or her views of a single adjective pair. For example, a student sees his teacher as beautiful. Then he also sees his teacher as kind and intelligent. So his overall impression of his teacher overwhelms his views about this teacher. To counteract the halo effect, researchers never place all the positive adjectives on the same side of the scale. just like what is presented below. So good on the first pair is presented on the left side, and the second pair, cruel, kind, the positive adjective is on the right side. So, never place all the positive adjectives on the same side of the scale. At the end of the survey, the mean of each pair is calculated and then plotted on the table. So this is an example of a semantic differential scale summary chart.
Lastly, let's discuss checklist, a straightforward way for students to evaluate themselves. Instead of a test, they check statements that apply to them, helping them reflect on their mindsets and attitudes. Consider a checklist designed to assess a growth mindset. I believe that intelligence can be developed. I do not easily give up. I accept criticism. I see challenges as opportunities to grow. I persist in the face of difficulties. I view efforts as a path to mastery. I learn from criticism. I believe success is a matter of luck. Students check most of the positive statement demonstrates a strong growth mindset. Those who check negative ones might need guidance and support to develop resilience and confidence.
The tools are there. The methods are available. But we need a shift in mindset. We need to move beyond simply measuring knowledge retention and embrace a more holistic approach. We need to value the affective domain as much as the cognitive. Recognizing that true learning is an emotional journey as much as an intellectual one. By incorporating these affective assessment tools into our teaching practices, we can create a more engaging, supportive, and ultimately more successful learning environment. We can ignite the passionate within our students, fostering a love of learning that will last a lifetime. Let's measure not just what they know, but how they feel. Let's measure the unmeasurable.
As I have said, grades will always matter, but they're not the only thing that matters. Because at the end of the day, success isn't just about what we know, it's about who we become. In education, what we measure shapes what we value. If we truly want to develop well-rounded students, we must go beyond grades and assess what truly matters, their hearts and their minds. So that would be all for today. Thank you for having me.
I enjoyed sharing these insights to you. Thank you so much for having me.
I am honored